So please welcome Mark.
We're going to talk a little bit about perseverance. The definition, if I can remember this correctly, is, I just picked up the spot. Now we're just, you nervous? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. This is me pointing with fingers. Now, see, I can point at people and nobody really does what I'm pointing at. So, the whole point of that is a joke. I like to tell stories about myself. Sometimes they're funny. Please laugh. It makes me feel great. If it is funny, if it's not funny, you don't have to laugh at all. Anyway, perseverance is the act of continuing on a course to complete a goal despite failure or difficulty. My life is that way. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that story. A few short months ago, I was competing in the Rio Paralympic Games. I was the favorite to win. I went into qualification round. Qualification round was you shoot 72 arrows at 50 meters. The distance that you're shooting is about 55 yards. The target size is smaller than a CD. Everybody that I'm competing against has arms. I'm the only person without arms competing in this division. After the first 72 arrows, I'm 3 points out of first in fourth place. This is a great place to be when you're going into elimination rounds because it gives you an easy bracket, at least that's what they say, to the finals. The very next day, I wake up. It's a beautiful day. It's not that windy. I'm feeling excited. I get out of bed. I go to the range. My first match, I think I competed against a guy from Costa Rica. Did really well. I beat him. My next match was against a crowd favorite, a Brazilian. For elimination matches, everything changes. You shoot 15 arrows apiece. At the end of 15 arrows, whoever wins, or who scores the highest points, moves on to the next round. With 3 arrows left to go, on my 13th arrow, I'm holding a 2-point lead against the crowd favorite. I look over at him because he shoots first. He shoots a 10. I shoot a 10. Then he aims again and he shoots a 10. And I shoot a 9. Then I watch him shoot another 10 for a perfect 30. And I'm thinking, man, that guy is cheating. He's using his arms. As I'm aiming my last arrow, I know in my head that I'm ahead by 1 point. In fact, I know that if I shoot a 10, I win. If I shoot a 9, I tie. If I shoot an 8, I lose. I've been practicing and training for this moment for the last 4 years. I knew what I had to do. It was in my mind. It was positive thinking. In my mind, I told myself, watch this. I'm going to shoot a 10, and he's going to lose. I load my arrow into my bow and I'm aiming down at this little target way far away. When you shoot elimination matches, you get 20 seconds per arrow. And you alternate back and forth. That's not a lot of time. So for me, I have a coach, and it's his job to stand behind me and give me a countdown. When we get to 10 seconds left on the clock, he says 10. When we get to 5 seconds, he says 5, 4, 3, so forth. I'm aiming down at the target. I can see the wind is blowing left or right at about 3 mile an hour wind, gusting up to about 8. So I knew I could aim slightly to the left side of the target, and I was going to hit the bullseye. I hear him say 10, and I'm still focusing on the target. And then I hear him say 5, 4. But then I don't hear him say anything. Now, if you're in this position, trying to win a gold medal, right? And you all of a sudden lose track of time because if time runs out and you don't get the arrow shot, you get a 0. Well, then I would lose. So now I started to kind of panic just a little bit, okay? Because I don't want to run out of time. So I'm thinking, well, do I take my eyes off the target and look at the time? But then if I do that, I'm going to realize I have probably 3 seconds left because it's going to take a second to look at the time. And then I realized 3 seconds is on the clock. Now I'm going to have to refocus all my energy at aiming and reading the wind again, and that's going to take a couple seconds. But all he had to do was just count down, and everything was going to be okay. During that pause, I don't think I had ADD, but it was literally like a pause forever, because then after that, I heard him say 3. During that time, as I'm aiming the bow, I also had a lot of other thoughts go through my head, like how did I get to this specific spot, shooting against people with arms, in a sport that you wouldn't think a person without arms would be doing. So for me, it started in 1982. I was born without any arms. I like to say a lot cuter, because babies are always way cuter. I was born, as you see me now. There was no medical reason for why I was born without arms. In fact, I don't even really remember the statistic. From what I can tell, it was like 1 in a million children are born with a finger or toe. For me, I just happened to be born with missing both of my arms. When I was born, my parents were kind of thrown off a little bit by the uniqueness of what they just witnessed. So they asked the doctor, what should we do? The doctor informed them that it was going to cost millions of dollars for them to raise me throughout my life. I was going to have a specialist. I was going to have people to come in and teach me everything. How to use my feet to eat, how to use my feet to shave, if you can think of it, that's what we had to do. Tie my shoes. Because they didn't have millions of dollars, they put me up for adoption at 3 months old. Sitting in the hospital or in the bed, and at 13 months old, I had this amazing family come into the hospital where I was staying, and they took me home. They actually took me out to eat, and they took me into a restaurant, and they set me at a table, and everybody was watching, and at that time I had 2 older sisters and a brother, and my dad looked at them because at that time, I don't remember this, but according to my mom, I stuck my face in my food. That's how I ate. And as I'm sitting there eating, my dad said, look around, kids. Everybody is watching. Everybody's going to stare. For the rest of his life, people are going to probably pick on him. They're going to make fun of him. They're going to stare at what he's doing. Is this something that you want to take on as a challenge? Is this somebody that you would want in our family? And they all said yes. I went to an amazing household. I grew up on a farm. I had cows, chickens, cats, dogs, pigs, sheep. I had it all. And of course, I had just as much ambition as every other kid, as we grow up. I knew at some point I was going to be the best at something. I just didn't know what it was. I remember at a very young age, 5, 6, 7, telling my dad all these things I wanted to do, and he was always supportive. If I wanted to climb an apple tree, he would say, son, climb the apple tree. But if you climb up the apple tree by yourself, you're going to have to climb down by yourself. What that was doing was training me to think outside the box. And if things got tough, that I would keep pursuing that until I got it accomplished. Of course, I was young, and I didn't know that that's what he was training me to do. I specifically remember a day when I was 12 years old, and I woke up, and I had this brilliant idea. Something clicked in my mind that I knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a professional cowboy. Now, I have no idea why I thought this. I just remember thinking, that is something I think I can do. So I called my little brother into going outside with me, and we caught Billy. Now, Billy is probably about 1,500-pound bull that we have in our pasture, and he's really friendly. You can pet him, and I had to carry feed out to him every day anyway, so he knew who I was. And we put him in the barn, we put him in this little stall. Now, on TV, they tie a rope around his belly, right? So we tied a rope around this bull's belly, and I get on the bull, and as I'm sitting there, a thought goes through my mind, how am I going to hold on? I was playing the part. I had jeans, cowboy boots, long-sleeve flannel shirt, and a cowboy hat. I was going to go 100% into riding this bull and being the best bull rider in the world. My brother had a brilliant idea. He said, I have an idea. What if we would tie your sleeve to the rope that's around the bull, and then that will hold you on. And wanting to be the best bull rider in the world, I said, that sounds like a great idea. He ties the rope around the rope, ties my sleeve around the rope that's tied around the bull. My heart starts pumping a little bit. I'm getting excited about what was about to go down. I slid up on the rope and I kind of pulled my shirt tight so it felt good. And I leaned back and I imagined that I put this arm over my shoulder, my head. And then I saw my dad running out of the house. He was yelling something, I'm not sure what it was, because he was way far away, and I'm pretty sure it was not that thing right now. But as I see him running out, and I'm starting to reconsider this, my brother thought it would be fun to slap the bull on the rope. The next thing I know, I'm exiting the barn at 100 miles an hour. And this is the first time in my life that I can remember that things got slow. The first thing that went off was my hat. The next thing I remember is waking up on the ground. I'm a little groggy. I faintly hear my brother just laughing like crazy. I sit up, my back is a little tingly, and I look down and I realize I'm not wearing a shirt. I look to my left, my dad is chasing the bull around the pasture, and my shirt is still tied to the rope, flopping in the wind. That was the day I decided bull riding is not for me. Now, if I would have just ended my career there or ended my dream of being the best at something at that point in time, I wouldn't have been in the position to set myself up for success later on in life. 2 days later, I told my dad I wanted to be the best basketball player in the world. And I kept trying things, and I would do stuff and I would fail, but I kept trying it until I was 27 years old. And it was, I think, September of 2009. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm trying to figure out how to make things work. I can't get a job. I have 2 boys at the time. My wife worked full-time. In fact, she had 2 jobs just to help pay the bills. And I felt really junky because I could not do my part as a father, as a husband, to take care of his family. Every day I was trying, but I couldn't figure it out. So I'm sitting on the couch, trying to figure out my place, because at this point I'm starting to get depressed a little bit and trying to figure out where I fit in with the whole plan. And I see a commercial come up for a bow and arrow. And a light bulb goes, ching, you should get a bow and learn how to shoot. My wife comes home, and I said, honey, I got this brilliant idea. I said, what if I got a bow and taught myself how to shoot? And by doing that, I can literally help put food on the table. And she kind of said, well, if you think that's the right thing to do. I called the landlord because I didn't have any money. She agreed to put rent off for a couple months so we could use that money to buy a bow. And I went up to the bow shop, I walked into the store, and I said, I'd like to buy that bow. And he looked at me, and he looked at the bow, and he goes, you know you have an alarm, right? At this point, I said, yep, I would still like to buy it. And he goes, how are you going to shoot it? I said, I don't know, just give me the bow and leave the room. FYI, if you're ever in Iowa City, Iowa, and you go into a shop called Fit and Feather, there is an arrow stuck in the ceiling, and the guy won't let me pull it out. He says that's history, I guess. I don't know. I take the bow home. I'm super excited. The first thing I do when I get home is Google how to teach a guy without arms how to shoot a bow. Which you can't find anywhere. You can find videos now, of course, but at the time you couldn't figure it. You couldn't find videos like that. And since I couldn't figure it out, I had to self-teach myself. So initially what I do is I would actually bite the string with my teeth. And I would pull back, and I would hold the bow on my right foot, and then I would half aim, and then when I was ready to shoot, I would open my mouth, and the arrow would shoot. And I would either hit the target or miss the target or whatever I was aiming at. And very, very quickly I realized that I liked my teeth very much. So what I did is I came up with this device right here. This is just a belt. It's super simple. This will go over my shoulders, which I will show you a little bit. And on the end of this thing is what I call a release aid. This helps me fire the bow. For me, there was no options of failure. I had to figure out how to make it work. I had to figure out how to put food on the table. I had to feel better as a father, as a husband, that was doing his job, and sitting around wasn't the option. So no matter what it was with this, I had to make it work. I remember sitting in a chair 8 hours a day, practicing and practicing and practicing and trying to teach myself how to shoot. That took the rest of 2009. I had a friend call me up in 2010 and said, hey, there's a tournament, you can win 10 grand if you win. I said, what's that? He said, we just all get together, we shoot our bows, and whoever wins gets $10,000. And my thought was, hey, that's a lot of money. I could pay a lot of bills with that. So I take my bow and I walk up to the tournament, and I walk in and I take off my shoe to sign. I guess they had some waiver in case you missed or something. And I did tell them that I wouldn't leave fingerprints on the arrow, but they did. They always wanted to. And I asked where all the other armless archers were. I literally thought I was going to be competing against other people that didn't have arms for $10,000. I very quickly realized that everybody I was going to be competing against were professionals and had arms. After the tournament was over, I think I got 200th place. On my way home, which was like a 4-hour drive, I hit 2 gear with my only car, totaling it out. And now I'm just like, did it get any more worse? The next day I get a call from a manufacturer and they said, hey, we saw you at the shoot, we would like to sponsor you. And I said, sure, who doesn't like free product, right? I said yes. I take this awesome bow and I take it to my buddy's house a couple days later and I show him this bow and he says, Matt, the reason why they sponsor you is because you have no arms and you draw attention to their product. It's not because you're good. The reality was I wasn't that good. I just started shooting. I wasn't that good. And you're right, I was sponsored because I drew attention to people's products. If a guy with arms can shoot it, people with arms can shoot it, right? That didn't sit too well with me. So it was January 12th, 2010. I tell my wife to sit down, and I said, I think I want to become the best archer in the world. And she goes, okay, I can do that. It takes money, it takes time, Went on a job, I can't get a job, so the time is not a problem. We'll figure it out. At the end of the day, she said yes. At that point, I sat in a chair and kept shooting 8 hours a day. By 2011, I was invited to participate in a pair archery trials, which is all the people in the United States get together and see who's the best. I showed up and thought it was a fluke because I won. It's like, there's no way I just won, my first tournament. This is crazy. By 2012, I had offers from big sponsors. I went to my first trials for the games. I won. I missed the world record by 2 points set by guys that had arms. I find myself now in 2012 going to London representing the United States of America. In fact, there was only 2 of us in that division that got to represent the United States of America. So that means I had to be the top 2 in the whole world. I show up, nobody knows who I am, which is good, not a lot of pressure. I shoot the highest score on the field, qualifying first. Missed the Olympic record by 8 points, and we had gale force winds. I went on to fight my way myself and go through eliminations all the way to the gold medal match, where I lost by 1 point to a guy from Finland, thus earning a silver medal at the 2012 Olympic Games. I didn't let that stop me there because that's just a stepping stone to where I want to go. In 2013, I became the #1 ranked archer in the world. By 2014, I was the first person with a physical disability to walk into a professional tournament and shoot a 600 out of 600. I was that in 2014, I was one of 7 people in the entire world to do it, and they all were professionals and had arms. Between 2012 and the middle of 2016, my worst finish at an international tournament was 2nd, which is insane. I'm still thinking about how did I just do that. In 2015, in December, I actually set the Guinness World Record for the longest accurate archery shot ever by anybody, where I shot an arrow and I hit a target at 310 yards away. Now we're back in Rio. I'm aiming at the target. I'm running out of time. I feel good about the shot. It's amazing. It's in the middle. It's perfect. I shoot, and my arrow leaves the bow at 200 miles per hour. Now, the arrow has a little plastic piece. It's called a knock. And it attaches the arrow to the bow. It's a very rare thing, probably happens 1 in a million. As my arrow leaves the bow, the knock can't handle the pressure and must have a weak part in it, and it breaks, and I shoot an 8. It was horrible. It was like, 4 years of training, 4 years of practicing, poof, just like that because of the equipment malfunction. I remember I was trying to be happy. You know, you're supposed to be happy when you lose, and you're shaking the guy's hand, and he's excited. And I actually remember when I shot, and it was an 8. It almost like the air in the whole stadium just was sucked out, like you could hear a pin drop. I went over to the media center. They didn't even want to talk to the guy who won. I spent 20 minutes talking to the media, having to try to explain why I lost, and at the time I didn't know about the knock issue, so I really didn't know what was going on. After I was done that, I walked through the back, and I had to walk through the crowd to get to my bow, and there was a whole ton of people there, and they're all saying, "You're still the best, you're awesome, we hope you try again for Tokyo in 2020. And of course, at that time, you know, you're devastated, right? You're trying to figure out what happened. The point is that was a lesson I learned. That was a valuable lesson about checking my equipment. I can tell you that I'm not going to let it stop me. I have tons of goals. There's tons of things I want to do. I still want to be known as the best archer in the world, and I'm not going to let an equipment malfunction stop me from achieving my goal. A lot of people look at something like that when you train for 4 years for one 20-second moment, and then you have that problem where you miss. A lot of people give up. But I can't give up. I'm not going to give up. And the reason why I'm not going to give up is because I have people counting on me. I'm going to show everybody in the world why I was put on this earth, and that was to persevere. Whatever it is, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to go to the top, and I'm not going to let anything stand in my way. Everybody in this room has a challenge of something going on in their lives. Mine are pretty obvious. I can't stick out my tongue with, my hand, right? Can't check the wind that way. Okay, it's not blowing at all. But I promise you, if you persevere through whatever that is, it's going to make you a better person. It's going to make you feel better about life, even though it's going to suck really bad, and you're going to feel depressed about what happened. But you got to remember that it's not the end of the world. You got to figure out how to work through that. You got to move on. If a guy without arms is going to pick up a bow and become the best archer in the world at it, in a sport that you have to have arms for, then whatever you guys are doing, surely you can figure that out. Figure out how to make it work. My wife now stays at home. She doesn't work. I work. She watches the kids. It's awesome. In fact, I have to say this because this is awesome. I've always wanted a farm, and I just closed on a farm. I got 10.5 acres. And I know you should have sold me wherever, you should have sold me the property, but. And I've always wanted a farm, and now I can do that. I can have cows and chickens, and my kids can grow up in that environment just like I did when I was young. And that's all because I never gave up, and I never let someone say it's going to take millions of dollars for you to do something. As of right now, I have nothing in my house that's modified. I drove a car with my feet. I got lots of cop stories, actually. We could be here all night talking about that stuff. If you were to walk into my house right now, minus the pictures, there's nothing in my house that would make you believe that a guy without arms lives there. It didn't cost me millions of dollars. I taught myself how to do everything with the help of my parents. And by doing that, I'm being successful. I'm not quitting, I'm not giving up. If you guys learn anything from that, learn that perseverance through anything can take you a long way. You might not see at the beginning, wow, this failed, but in the long run, it always works itself out and you can be successful. Anyway, thank you very much. You guys want to see how I shoot a bow, right? I left my arms at home, sorry. I'm going to shoot my bow real quick. I'm going to show you how I shoot a bow. Before I shoot, you guys will be fine. Do you get the waivers? Yeah. Okay. I'm shooting at this target over here. I'm going to sit here. One of the cool things about my bow, this is actually a bow that was made for me by one of my sponsors. It's red, white, and blue. It's really awesome. And it was a bow that they made for me just for the games. The long bars you see on the front are stabilizers, and if you think about it like this, the guy who walks the tightrope has this really long stick, and he uses it for balance so he doesn't fall. When I'm trying to hit a Cheez-It at 100 yards, these help hold the bow still so I can be more accurate. The only modification is this strap in my left shoulder. When I draw this bow back, it's 60 pounds, which is a lot, and I draw the string back a total of 32 inches. So while we're setting this up real quick, I like comedy, so while I'm setting this bow up, I just want to tell you a story. So in 2012, BP was one of my sponsors, and they put me a picture of me shooting a bow across 44,000 gas pumps across the United States. And it was a picture of me in full draw, wearing a shirt just like this. And as I'm pumping my gas in the hometown where I live in, I like to stare at my picture and think, that dude is a stud muffin, right? One day I'm pumping my gas, and as I'm pumping my gas, I noticed a guy on the other side of the pump keeps staring at me, which is, what I'm used to. It's totally fine. He comes around the corner after he was done pumping, and he said something I will never forget. He goes, "Did you know that you and the guy in that poster have the same disability?" And I was in my hometown at a local gas station. I'm like, sure enough, the guy has no arms, just like me. And then he goes, "I know the owner of this store. In fact, if you give me your information, I'll find out who that guy is and give it to you. You guys will be great friends." I'm like, "Yeah, that'll be fun." I never seen or heard from him again, so I don't know what happened. I think he probably realized it was me and left. Anyway, yeah. So you guys just stay where you're at. You're fine, and you can distract me, clap, I don't care, whatever you like. I'm just going to shoot one arrow into the middle there, just on the center. In fact, I'll just pick something out real quick. I was talking to a group of kids earlier, and they, of course, when I let them choose what I shoot at, they always pick the smallest thing possible. But we're just going to shoot here, in the middle of that, so you guys can get a visual on how. If you want to choose. Does anybody have like an apple? I would never do that, never. I think I'm going to take the mic off though, because it might get in the way of it. Perfect, thank you. So please don't try this at home. This device right here is actually, I designed it and then I have a company making it for me. It's actually called the Fingerless. And since this device was designed and made, we now have half the care team using it. We also have a couple people that are international using it as well. And now there's 2 people without arms. He's really young, but he's starting to learn how to shoot. So I told him, if he gets better than me, I'm going to stop helping him. But this device allows people with 1 arm or no arms to shoot a bow. And the thing that's cool about archery is that anybody can shoot it and shoot it well. It doesn't stereotype its athletes. So in like 2 months, I leave for Vegas, where the grand prize is $70,000, and I'm shooting against 2,200 of the best archers in the world. And a perfect score there is 900. If you shoot a 900, you win the money. 2 years from now, I've shot 899. So, I'm hoping this is the year that we crack the 900. The target size is the size of a nickel at 20 yards. So it's pretty small. Anyway. My kids like to shoot. And my middle son, Cameron, he doesn't understand yet that the whole no arms thing, right? So whenever we're shooting against each other, he's like, Dad, how come you won't let me use my feet? And I keep telling him, like, because you have arms. And he goes, no, you just don't want me to beat you. I think that's one thing that's cool about kids. They're so innocent, and they just look at me as a normal guy. My 4-year-old the other day finally asked me what happened to my arms. We were eating a sandwich, and he said, Dad, where's your arms? And I said, I don't have any. And he goes, oh. That was the last I brought it up. See how I gotta do yoga? I don't do yoga. Anyway, thank you so much for having me. It's so awesome to be here. Thank you for inviting me down. Yes, thank you for inviting me down. So I'm also a firm believer that there was a lot of people that helped me get to win a medal, right? There's a lot of people that supported me to help me get there. So I let everybody touch my medal. This thing's probably been touched by, I don't know, thousands and thousands of people. So afterwards, please come up, check it out, lift it up, put it around your neck, take pictures, Snapchat it to your friends saying you just won this arm wrestling or whatever you want to say. But please check it out. It's awesome. There is one rule. If you decide to run, remember, I had the world record for the longest accurate archer shot. You'll probably just die tired. So, anyway, thank you so much.
Do you mind? Do you have any questions to Matt?
Does anybody have any questions about it? Yes.
Are you in touch with your biological parents, or do they know what's going on with you?
Yeah, it's funny that. Should I get the mic back, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. It's funny that my success has created people that are like, hey, I'm your biological mom. Oh. Hello? Is it on? I haven't met them. Yeah, I don't hold any grudges at all because I feel like, why waste my time? I feel like I was adopted into an amazing family who really helped mold me into who I am today. It's a little sad because they can't let themselves forgive themselves. So when I see them, they're always saying sorry, and I'm like, hey, it's fine. Life is good. You know, let's just. But they're awesome people as well. I know there's more questions. I can feel it.
No other questions?
You had someone else had a question? All right. It works. Thank you so much.
So, I just want to say again, Matt, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to Tamar, who is really my sunshine, and has made me feel so great. Irene and George, thank you so much. Thanks to Stella and Beth who joined me this year to build the team. Thanks every one of you who inspired me. Leora, who is, I don't know what happened, but you're doing an amazing catering. I'm following you as well. You're a great inspiration. And thank you so much. And we have something for you. So I want you to still enjoy and have fun. But each one of you, before you leave, you make sure that you take with you the small gifts that we prepared for each one of you. Now, inside this gift, we have the 3G. The gift of giving. We have a small gift card for Dunkin' Donut. Give it to someone who you care and enjoy the feeling of the appreciation because it's great. We also have something for you to grow. Find out what it is and grow yourself this year.
Is it legal this year?
Or I'll tell you your house to try stuff. And we have a cup for you to fill with everything you want to gain this year. We want you to gain happiness, prosperity, health, and everything you wish yourself. Happy New Year and have fun, and thank you so much again.